So today we are going to learn something really cool. It is about React.js, and we'll learn a bit of why React.js, why we are using these tools, why did React.js happen to be born, and how is it different from other stuff. Like we can have a question and answer discussion along with a lot of different things. And I believe some people were asking about the roadmap for the full stack web application development. So all these things will be covered today. I hope everyone is going to enjoy this, and I'll try to make sure the whole thing is as interactive as possible. Let's keep our communication to the chat, as well as in case if you have any questions, please unmute yourself, and then also let's go for it. I know we have started a bit early today, so I'm pretty sure that a couple of people might have missed it. So I would like every one of you who is currently here to put your expectation from this stream, so that I will try to cover as much as possible from that. And I hope is my English, the way I communicate, is fine. Please do let me know if there is any questions and your expectations, what you want to learn from this. And it's going to be like almost like 40 minutes. That's what the time that has been given to me. So I'll try to cover as much as possible inside that. Cool. Okay. So we have got almost 26. Yes. Thank you so much. And okay, let me introduce about myself. Hi everyone, my name is Praveen. I'm originally from Chennai, India, currently living and working in London for one of the top US based credit tech company as a associate director. And I have been completely into React and Node.js for about like couple of years, and I have also tried to contribute to the React.js code base and have done a lot of React projects. So my specialization lies in React and Node. Previously, I was working with LampStack. So in case if anyone loves PHP, I'm not the one who is going to hate you. So now coming to the main thing, I would like to show you about what I have done so far, and we will go with a basic development environment that I have got with me. And it is, you won't be finding any presentations in my like the PowerPoint presentations or any slides in my webinar, because I generally would like to do it completely like a hands-on. So in case if someone is like new or willing to learn something, please stop me and ask your question. That's completely fine. And without further delay, I'm gonna share my screen. And in case if I'm going fast or something, please stop me, and then let's continue slowly. Like ask your questions. Cool. So there are already a couple of chat messages, so I'm just going to quickly look into those. Right. So expectations. I have done some React work in the past before hooks, then returned to it a few months ago, just hoping to refresh and hear how things are being done today, and maybe a bit more about the hooks and the deployment. Paul, slightly sorry to disappoint you, because this is going to be very beginner centric, but definitely it is going to be a refreshing session for you. In case if there is any questions that you have in specific, please put it on the chat, and I'm happy to explain that as well. A bit confusing of how rendering of components work in React. Sure, Julia, I'm going to show that as well. That's actually a good question too. Very interested in deployment portion as well. Yashira, definitely. I guess a lot of people are, even I had a lot of issues with deploying React. So we will be using GitHub pages, and maybe we will try to use another service called CodeSandbox. So these are the two things that we are going to use to deploy React. And this is just going to be very beginner friendly, because it is going to cover only the a basic minimal level of deployment, not the enterprise deployment. But for enterprise deployments, please feel free to ask me. Context APIs and Redux. So I have the same confusion as well, Sudeep. Okay, cool. So without further delay, let me share my screen and start the main thing. So please confirm that if you all are able to see the screen. Okay, cool. So quickly to tell, this is my website. So it's Praveen.science, and I have built it basically using HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, etc. And what I would like most of you who are web developers to do is create a simple site like this. So it has got all these graphics, and like it's actually a simple site. There is a simple background. Okay, without delay, this is my website, has got all the information about me. And if you go to Google and type in my name, Praveen, and development environment, the first article that you see is my personal development environment. I'll just quickly go through what is there in that, and then we will continue with the other stuff. Okay, so I'm using Google Chrome for all my development works. So I know that a lot of people might hate Google Chrome for its privacy side of things, but Google Chrome has been really an excellent counterpart for me for development and other things. So with respect to the Google Chrome extensions, at least for a React thing, I will be mostly using React Dev Tools by Facebook. So you can get it from the Google Chrome Web Store, which says React Developer Tools, and it is by Meta, I guess. Yes, it is offered by Meta, no more Facebook. So have a look at this and download it when you can. And apart from these things, obviously we use Zoom for almost all the different types of communication. Then how many of you would like to do time travel? And if you are interested, at least you can do it for the coding purposes. So Git is really cool in this case. So I always set up Git, and then I kind of like travel between time, so that in case if I messed up something in the previous hour, I can go back and correct it. So this is really handy in terms of Git. And then item 2, it's macOS specific. I'm using a Macintosh machine, and it's actually an old machine. And macOS is really helpful in working with development environment. There is something called as item2 and omize@sh. If you are a Linux user, you can also use omize@sh. I'm going to show you how it is going to help me in most of the shortcuts and other things. There are also a lot of shortcuts that I use. So in case if you're using Git, here is a list of Git shortcuts that you have got. And I have literally added everything as a master thing. So in case if you want to have the setup similar to me, you can use it. Sublime Text 2 I was using when I was using my HTML, CSS, and JavaScript side of things. VirtualBox, Vagrant, Scotchbox, Adminer. All these 4 applications are mainly used for LAMP stack, a better LAMP stack development. And coming to Meld is something similar to Beyond Compare or the diff checker, which is really good visual diff comparison tool. So give it a try. Node.js, obviously we need a JavaScript running environment, JavaScript runtime environment, similar to what we have got in common language runtime in .NET or Java runtime environment in Java. We have got Node.js. The V8 JavaScript engine is what is being used in Chrome as well as in our Node.js application. So in case if you are trying to work on something like, let's say, if I use alert, any volunteers here? I'll just take the last person. So Julia. And if I say this, you get this Julia as an alert, right? So similarly, if you try to do a couple of things, let's say 1 + 2, these are like the basics mathematics operations. And if you do something like, so these things, whatever the engine that parses, it is the same engine that is in the Node.js as well. So in simple terms, if I go to switch on a terminal window, and then in this terminal window, let me make it a bit bigger. And if I type in Node, so you might need to install Node for it, which we will come back to it later. So if I do the same thing, like 1 + 2, it gives the same thing. So one funny quirk about JavaScript is if I do 0.1 + 0.2, it gives me this number, which is 0.3 and some number of zeros and 4. And if I do the same thing here, I get the same result, whereby I can say that these two things are the same. So that's about Node.js. Node.js is the runtime environment that executes JavaScript both in the Chrome as well as in our terminal. Coming back to other things, I've got Fanny, which is actually a great, it's Mac OS specific. It's going to give me the CPU speed and fan speed. And apart from this, there is Typora. This really needs a good, how should I say? So this is a super cool Markdown editor. How many of you are Markdown lovers, or how many of you are blog writers? Make use of it. It uses GitHub flavored Markdown and a lot other things which might help you in writing readmes, writing Stack Overflow answers, and also GitHub posts. And finally, coming to our main environment, we will be using Visual Studio Code for the development environment. And in this, I have got a couple of extensions. I've got exactly 8 extensions with me. Let me go through it one by one. So the first thing is, let's say this is my Visual Studio Code. And in this one, any questions so far? It's just me talking and no one have messaged or anything. So I just wanted to make sure.
Okay,
yes,
I think you're rushing through the whole thing, and for for beginners, like me, I'm going to have to struggle to catch up with what you're doing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I
Okay.
am new to JavaScript, so yeah.
Right. I have not yet taken anything related to JavaScript. I'm just explaining all the different tools and technologies that I have been using in my everyday life, which might actually help you in this learning of React and stuff like that. So nothing much. Do you have a particular question or something? James, I'm not sure if it is recorded because, oh, it is being recorded, that I know, but I'm not sure when it is going to be published. So I'll get it, get an information about that soon. And sorry, whoever talked right now, would you like to ask any questions? Like, do you have any particular questions?
Yeah, I don't see Harp. This is Raj. Hey, Praveen. I'm in U.S. North Carolina. You don't have Harp in your toolbox? Do you know reason why? Harp.js?
Harp.js. I have not heard about Harp.js. Okay, I have not heard about Harp.js at all. I'm gonna go check it out what it is. And
yeah, it usually goes very well with GitHub pages, and you mentioned GitHub pages, so I thought you might know. Sorry.
Nice. Okay, thank you, Rajendra. I'll make sure I'll check out Harp.js once this stream is over. And I'm so happy that I'm also learning something new. Cool. Oh yeah, yes, Paul. I guess Carol has posted this one. I will definitely post all the other next links, whichever is happening. Peter, React with JavaScript or TypeScript, which one do you recommend? Hey, this is going to be my personal view. I have never used any, or I have never favored any of those statically typed languages like .NET or Java. So basically, I'm a JavaScript lover or a PHP lover. So I try to stay within JavaScript, React.js, but yeah, feel free to use TypeScript in case if you are coming from the typed languages. A lot of people are moving towards TypeScript. So it's kind of like a personal choice, I would say. So that's what I would say to you. Cool. I guess we have answered all the comments. So coming to the extensions. So whatever I have said so far is I was explaining my development environment, and we have not started anything related to React yet. So I'm just telling you what software that I have used, what software and tools that I have got with me, so that you can make something really cool. Okay. So coming to the first thing, Visual Studio Code is an IDE, which is not Visual Studio. This is VS Code, and it is available in your web as well. For example, if you type in vscode.dev, I'm going to send this thing as well. Okay. So you can get this whole thing inside your browser as well. So this is the cool part about VS Code, and I have been using this particular thing. Yes, Paul has answered the best way possible. Many developers prefer TS these days, but JS is probably faster and much easier for beginners. Cool. Thank you, Paul. So VS Code is a complete package for React.js and other applications, and mostly I use React, and VS Code is really cool. So I have got a couple of extensions. So out of these, there are 3 useless extensions. One is a theme. This one is again some cosmetic thing. So if you see this, it is going to show me nice icons for all the folders that I have got. And to-do tree. Again, you can do it with using Control F or Command F in case if you are using Mac. It is just going to highlight all the to-dos. That's it. So forgetting these 3 extensions, there is this particular extension which I love it. It's called Prettier, along with ESLint. So what happens is, how many of you have got zero clue about JavaScript? Is there anyone who has got no idea what JavaScript is? This is the first time I'm looking at JavaScript. Oh my God. Okay, Robinson, Andriana. Okay,
Yeah,
just 2 of you.
Myself, yeah.
Okay.
I'm new to JavaScript. Yeah.
All right. So there are like 5 or 6 people, I would assume. So JavaScript is a language that is used widely in web, and basically for this particular live stream or webinar, knowing the basics of front end along with JavaScript and bit of ES6 will be very useful. But please stay and try to understand. If there is any questions, I'm happy to answer as well in case if you have got questions. So I could see only 2 or 3 people who have got no idea about JavaScript, but I'll try to explain as much easier as possible. So in HTML, in the front end, if you see any website, like for example, this is my website, or this one is my website again. So the things that you see here, it is written, the content is written using HTML, and the styling is made by using CSS, and whatever interaction. So if I click on this, there is a nice interaction happening, right? So these interactions are made using JavaScript. So in simple terms, this is what HTML, CSS, and JavaScript does. And 100% for the roadmap of learning React, I would really ask you to go with, start with HTML, then CSS, then JavaScript. The latest version of JavaScript is ES6. And once you learn ES6, then start with React. So this is the perfect way to go for it. Thanks, Marisa. That's a great comment you have given. So cool. So coming back to this, so writing JavaScript, if you start writing something like, let's say I'm going to put as JavaScript here. What was the tool that was mentioned before? Harp.js. I guess it's Harp.js. Just a second. Yes, it is HARP.js. Okay, so let's say I have got a simple JavaScript code here. I'm having a const a equal to, let's say b. It's an arrow function, and then this arrow function is gonna do b.map. Then we have got c comma. Okay, so c comma d, and then here I'm gonna put let's say const e equal to c of d. This is just a random useless code, but I just wanted to show you why I'm doing this. Okay, so let's say I have got this particular code. How many times I have used the semicolon? Sorry, how many times have I used this semicolon in this code? Can someone tell? It's very easy, like 1. So I have used only once. Okay, so, and moreover, this particular code, piece of code, is completely unreadable. The moment I copy and paste it, do you see what exactly happened? It put 3 semicolons, and then it has given all the spaces correctly. And this one is a useless parenthesis. So I have added a parenthesis, but it has removed the parenthesis because in this point, it is useless, and it has created the perfect lines, new line statements, etc. So this is done using Prettier and ES Code.
Question? Sorry.
Yes,
why is that parenthesis around be useless? Because it is only one variable?
Only single parameter. So you don't need to.
Okay.
It's not needed. There is like arrow parents. That is one of the ESLint features, which you can avoid or ignore if there is only one parameter. And if there are no parameters, or if there are multiple parameters, more than one, you have to use 2 parentheses. So it could be like 0 parentheses or 2 parentheses, something like that, 2 or more parentheses. Got it? So this is very cool, ESLint and prettier. And then we have got Git Lens. Git Lens is something like, okay, so basically I'm from India, and all Indians are very happy about blaming others. So in case if you are using Git blame in a lot, so you would be finding this very interesting. So if you see here, there is this particular code which has Git Lens that is being used. And in case if you are looking at any of the code, you would be able to see that this particular code has been created 4 years ago by me or something like that. So this is the main purpose for which I use Git Lens. And apart from these things, Git history, as the name says, you don't even need to go to your GitHub repository to see all these things. Everything can be done inside VS Code. And that's the reason I'm using VS Code as well. So with that being said, shall we go on to direct? So why are we using React.js? That is my first question. Okay. So even before I answer the question, feel free to answer from your side. I'm also excited to see what you know about React.js. It's popular. Great. That's a good answer. Virtual DOM. Okay. So virtual DOM for extra fast and stuff like that. So main thing which I would say is the developers experience. It is not about the user experience. Exactly, Mauricio. Awesome. Because it is productive for the developers. So for example, if I go to any of the websites, let me think of BBC website. Okay, so if you go to this particular BBC website, let's go to yes, I agree. And I click on news and I click on sports. This is one particular example that I wanted to give for everyone. So I'm in this sports page, I'm in the news page, I'm in the main page. So if you see this, there are a lot of patterns that you can see. So for example, this whole first line or like whatever it is always same. And if you see this particular thing, the news part or sport part, this seems to follow a pattern. Only thing that has changed is the contents of it and what should I say? These things, how the links. Exactly. To be honest, it's just the content. So basically, only a few things are changed. If you're using pure HTML and CSS and JavaScript, you have to change in every single page. So that is going to be a real headache for you. So componentization, React follows, do not repeat yourself kind of a concept. And React is created by Facebook. And yes, the most controversial company. Initially, I hated how React was built. It is using a language called as JSX. It looks like this. You can see that this looks like, okay, it is similar to a Java code or a JavaScript code. Let's talk about JavaScript because it looks like JavaScript, but JavaScript with classes. And then you start writing the return function, return statement, and immediately you start with a HTML. How can this be possible as well? So this is how the JSX looks like. And initially, for the first few weeks, let's say 3 weeks, I was with Facebook, and that is when I saw they were working on JSX, and they were claiming that this is going to change the world, which actually happened. And I hated this JSX idea to the core. Then later on, I came to know that this is actually good because you are combining the whole, like when I come from the PHP background, I could see that, okay, this is really interesting. I don't need to do this string interpolation and other things, which is really cool. Mario, yes, JSX was not fun for me initially, but nowadays it has been great. Yannick, you say that better user experience. Actually, it is better developer experience. You don't see a difference between a React application, a HTML, CSS, JavaScript application, or an Angular application when you are using it. So there is no difference for the user, end user, but for the developers, there is a great difference. Cool. And there are a couple of things that I would like to say. Obviously, yes, it's very lightweight. Lightweight in the sense, I don't think it is lightweight when compared to HTML and CSS, but when you are trying to create a huge application, like back in those days, we need to use spaghetti code is kind of fun only for some people. So back in those days, when you're trying to use PHP, let's take this worst example of WordPress. WordPress has got all these for loops and other things, right? It is almost similar. Hey, Tanjil. Okay, so these are a couple of, so that is one of the main reasons. So what HTML cannot give, React can give you. So React is totally different way of, React has got a totally different way of rendering things. So today, what I'm going to do quickly is, considering the time, I'm going to show you something new as well. So there is something called as react.new. And if I open this, I would be able to find a nice, what should I say, a VS Code style development environment in my browser. Okay, so this is really cool because it's CodeSandbox and it is powered by VS Code. So whatever I type here, it is going to immediately affect me inside it shows the preview here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch between this and the local machine, because in local machine, I would be able to do a couple of things which I cannot do it on the, but let me try if I could. Yeah, there is no extensions part here, so I would not be able to do it. That is the only disadvantage with CodeSandbox. Otherwise, it's nothing. So here, remember I said a lot of different things. There is also one more awesome tooling which I have. It's called ES7 React Redux React Native Snippets. So these are snippets. So in React, you have got two types of components. One is the, how should I say this? Functional component, and that is the latest way of using everything. Functional components with hooks. I'm not going to cover the hooks today because it is going to be very advanced for a beginner class. And for those people who are working with functional components, please go ahead and keep working on functional components along with hooks. And we are going to work on class components today. And I'm also going to tell you creating a small basic class component, explaining what exactly React has to give, and a small interview question. So this is what I'm going to do. So when I have got this particular page done with React's JavaScript, I start with, let's say, RCC. Boom, there you go. So this gives me a complete React class component. At the same time, if I want a React arrow function component with export, all I need to do is
Hello.
this. Hey, hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good, John.
Just a quick one. Could you please explain why you'd use functional component or class-based component? Are there advantages of use? Are there advantages? Oh, all right, cool.
Definitely, definitely. Sure. Okay. So for Peter, should one begin with React with class-based components or functional-based components with hooks? I would say start with class-based components, because the reason is when you go to work for a company or any other place, there are a lot of chances that you will be working in a previous code that was created like 5 years ago, or not 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago. Back in those days, class components were really good. And unless and until you are going to go for a greenfield project, that is, you are going to start the project from scratch, you would be working with some old code, set of code. So it is always better to learn the basics and then go step by step. So React was started initially with the complete JavaScript version. Then JSX was introduced, class components were introduced, then functional components were lying around. Then functional components got something like a superpower, which is called hooks. I will tell you what hooks are. And then finally, everyone started to use functional components along with hooks. So that is what exactly happened. React.js is running on the browser. React Native will run on mobile phones. So that is the difference. And it is native to Android or iOS. It is going to compile in native. That's the difference between React.js and React Native. So these are some nice things that I would do if I get this particular plugin called ES7 React Redux. Yes, fam. Okay, sure. Okay, so,
sorry, you just talked about difference between two versions of React just now. You mentioned React.js and React. What is the other one?
React Native. React Native is for mobile phones.
Okay, for mobile phones. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So this particular plugin helps me to write code very quickly. And one more thing, how many of you still keep writing code by using div and other things. That is going to be boring, right? So let's say you are supposed to write a code that has got, let's say there is a container, there is a row, there is if you are familiar with Bootstrap, I'm going to say div class name container, div class name row, div class name call MD5, call fire 12, something like this. If that is the case, now it is the time to change. So if I do container row dot call 12 dot call MD5 or 6 star 2, and if I do a paragraph with hello, bam. So this is one easy way.
That's cool.
How was it? How many of you were not sure what this was?
That's cool. Yeah, really cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
Okay, I was about to say, okay, how many of you want to see a magic? But yeah, because of the time crunch, I was like, okay, let me show you something really cool. Okay, so I wanted to let's say I want to do something related to this particular. Where are the annotations here? Oh my god, I guess I couldn't find any annotations. Okay, let's say I have got a particular. Okay, everyone knows it is emmet. It's called emmet. Okay, I'm going to show you another magic. A magic for, let's say, I'm going to get a code that was already written, and I'm going to show you how that can be written in a simple way. So just give me a few seconds. Okay, that's interesting. My VS Code stopped working. This is not the right sign. And in the meantime, any questions? Oh yeah. Okay. Any questions, please feel free to ask. So I'm going to write a code that has got a header, and inside the header, there is a H1 and there is a link which says logo. And then along with it, there is a nav. The nav has got a list of 4 nav links, and every link is like, like nav 1, nav 2, nav 3, and nav 4. So that is what I'm going to show now. Okay, cool. So if you see this code, so there is this code which has got like around 22 lines. No. I'm not sharing anything. I know I'm not sharing anything. So here you go. So this code, how long do you think? It's a normal HTML code, 22 lines code. How long do you think will take for you to write? Just your numbers, please. 3 minutes. Great. That's great for you, Taurus, because you said first. 3 minutes, 3 to 5. Okay, cool. Seems like a lot of people are saying 3 to 5. With emmet, 1 second. Jimmy, if you are able to show it in emmet with 1 second, I'm gonna give you 10 pounds, man. Seriously. Tanjil, same thing with you. I'm gonna give you 10,000 rupees. I know you're from India, so it's not possible in 1 second for sure. Other than copy pasting, you shouldn't copy paste. Okay, a lot of people are saying 1 minute to 3 minutes. Sorry, 1 minute to 5 minutes. I could see a couple of 1 minutes as well. So, okay, there is only 1 minute, 1 minute. Okay, so let's see how long does it take for me, a developer, to do this. So for that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up a window where it says stopwatch, and we will use Google's help for this stopwatch. So the moment I click on start, obviously it is not going to start. So after clicking on start, after 5 seconds, I'm going to start. So please reduce 5 seconds from it. So, okay, so I'm going to choose my language as HTML, and then this is going to give me this doc type. I'm going to put Codementor, and oops, I have a header. Then there is a H1, there is a that says logo, then there is a nav, then there is a UL, there is a LI, 4 list items with A, each one having nav $1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, you can stop it. So with like, okay, I'll just format the document. With those things, could you say like around 25 seconds? 25 seconds, can we go with that? So if you see this, the difference, no difference, right? Between these two things, I would put like Codementor old and Codementor new, right? I did not copy paste anything. So it just takes 25 seconds to create something like as big as 22 lines of code, right? So this is Emmet, and let's not waste any more time. I'm going to quickly show you how to work with React right away. Okay, so React is something that is going to help you with all these repeatable components and other things, and we are going to use this code sandbox. So code sandbox is going to help you with running the code immediately. And with respect to the shortcuts, we'll start with this. So if you want to create a class component, all you need to have is, the first thing is like, okay, this is the logic of React. Okay, so what you have here is, you start with importing React. I don't think this is any more necessary. I'm going to get rid of this. So you just need to import the component. Since it's going to be a class, it has got class app, and it extends the component which is taken from React. Basically, also we will go through the React structure as well. So there are two folders mainly. One is the SRC, one is the public, and the SRC folder has got app, index, and we can even ignore this styles. So app and index are the main thing. And then you have got a public folder. The public folder is the main file that gets loaded once the React app is created, and all the contents will be looped into this one. It will be rendered into this particular element. Remembering format, you can keep practicing things. That is what I would say. So the first thing is, you start with the importing of, okay, so index.js is going to be the first code point. You would be running like npm start in React, all obviously with the tooling and other things. Since it's a crash, I'm not going to tell you with the, there won't be any time to tell about the React tooling part, but for code sandbox, it is going to start with the package.json, where React scripts will start. It starts by looking into the index.js file. So here is the complete index file, which is all given for you in the tooling itself. So generally, when you are starting with React applications, you won't write all these things. You will start with a particular bootstrap or boilerplate. Okay, so this is the boilerplate code. So it starts with a create root. A create root is going to take a root element. All these things are already done for you. Create root will take a root element in the web page, and then it is going to load the React application using the render function, and then you are going to load this app. Where are you getting the app from? You are importing the app from the app. Yes, create root is a latest version of loading thing. Before that, we would be using whoever remembers what was it in React 17, please tell. So we will be using React DOM.render in the previous versions. Now we are using create root. Okay, and coming to the app.js. So this is the basic structure of app.js, where you're going to import a component from React. This is the component which is called as the class component. Let's talk that way. And there is this app. We are going to create a constant which is of type class app extends component. Inside the app, we want only one function for now. It is called render. So inside the render function, you are going to return something that is going to be displayed here. Let's say if I put hello Codementor, and it's going to be showing you hello Codementor here. And the good part about this is, whatever you do changes, you're not going to touch the real DOM because it is going to be in virtual DOM. So because of this, you would be using something called as states. So in the class component, you have something called as state. So we will be defining the state. Let's start with the name here. So now, if I want to access any JavaScript related things, for those people who have got a good object-oriented experience, you would say if you want to access the state, which is a property of the current class, I would be using this .state. Whatever it is. And here, if I want to switch to HTML, switch from HTML to JavaScript, I would be using this brackets and for curly braces, and then this is a JavaScript part. You cannot return multiple nodes from this. So for example, this is one node, this is a div node. So in case if you want another element, you cannot return that. For that, what you can do is you can use something called as fragments. Thank you, Mario. So this is called as a fragment, and in this fragment you can write whatever you want. So I guess I need to change this one as well. It's called GSR. And then a lot of people were asking me how am I doing emmet because it is not working on CodeSandbox. I recently found out that you need to change the language from JavaScript to JavaScript React or Babel so that you can use these things. So if I put t dot lead or something like that, and then I put something like, hey, this is a paragraph, and then it completes like this. Okay. And now you can see that you are able to return two different elements in a return statement. Okay. Now coming to this particular element. So we have got what is something called as a class component, and we can also create something called as a functional component. Let's name it as func.js. And here I'm going to use the shortcut again, considering the time. So I'm going to use React arrow functional component with export. So you don't need to do anything at all in this case because a lot of things have been done for you already. So I'm going to copy only these things. This is going to be still more simple. So the first thing is we are going to create a constant, and this constant is going to be an arrow function. So basically an arrow function looks like this. So you put constant, the function name, let's say funct, and then you equate it to, you assign it to a arrow function. An arrow function can be started with an empty parenthesis, then you put a lambda kind of a thing, and then you open and close. So this is how an arrow function looks like. And in this case, we are having the same similar structure. And inside that, we are returning some div. So I'm going to put div here. If I put class, it's a reserved keyword. So most of the shortcuts are built onto the IDE, John. So it is easy to use it here. So what I'm doing here is, oh, that one, you have this ES7 React Redux, React Native snippets, right? So this is what is going to give me those things. And the complete list of all these things are in this, I guess. Wait, I couldn't find it. There is a complete list of all these things. Oh, snippets here. Oh, it's going to show all these things. So here it is. Here is everything. Got it?
All right, cool.
Thank you. So coming back to our function, so we are doing this particular thing. Okay. So far with this return function or all these things, you are clear, right? There is no questions with respect to this function, right? Now, if I want to add this as a component inside the app, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do import func, because this one is a default export. Okay. Import func from /func. Or since you're using VS Code, you can also do something like this. Func auto import, bam, that's done. Or you can also go here, press enter, func auto import, it automatically imports it. Boom, you got func. All the component names in React start with a capital letter, and you can also have like there could be like a function, a component like this, func or something like this. You can have something like this. Commenting in React is like this. You should start with a curly brace inside a JSX and use a normal multi-line comment for JavaScript. This is what you do. It is just a okay. So that's the way things are differentiated, because all these smaller letter things are HTML components. So you have to give a differentiation between your custom component, custom tag versus the HTML thing, right? So now coming to why.
Sorry. What about the state? What about the state?
I was just about to say that. So coming to the next part, why we are having a two different types of components. One is the functional component, one is the classful state components, and classless functional component, or stateless functional components, or stateful class components. So two things are there. What is the difference and why? So if you take a classful component, the component will have got component will be having a lot of different things. For example, this is the React lifecycle. So in this React lifecycle, this is completely like an older subject, which I would suggest take it with a pinch of salt. Okay, so this one. Okay, before that, I will also get you the source code of whatever we are writing. So here's the React lifecycle. What happens here is when you create a class component, it is going through all these things. Like it starts with a mounting, then it has got this get derived state from props. Then every time when a mounting is done, it does a render, and then React will update the DOM and the refs involved in it. Then it will run this event called as component did mount. And whenever the state changes, I'll come to that soon. Whenever the state changes or you get a new prop or props changes, again, props and states is the next topic. I'll quickly touch to it. The re-rendering will happen after checking if there is any prop that needs to be changed, or in case if the user runs this command or if the developer runs this command called force update, this render happens. So this is what generally a React class component is capable of doing it. Every single function in JavaScript or every single function in a computer has got some cost, right? So in class component, you have got so many things along with features like states, lifecycle methods, etc. So that makes it a bloated one. It is like a fat guy or something like me. Okay. And coming back to functional components, it is similar to a printed paper. So there are no lifecycle methods, there are no bloats. So it is like a slim person. So people who are like, so functions that doesn't have a lot of components or like a lot of functions that does in the background is better, right? So that is the reason functional components are more efficient than class components. But class components are very easy to write. For example, I wrote a name called as hello, and then I'm going to send this hello to the func. So this is parameter passing using props. So let's say if I have the hello here and func input. So again, if I want to access the prop, what I need to do, I would be using a curly brace inside the HTML or the JSX. So I put hello here, and this is actually one of the prop. Now if I go to app.js and then type in hello, it automatically understands that JSX attribute. This particular hello is a JSX attribute of this func component. I'm going to use this. And then in case if I put something like how are you or something like that, you could see that the func input is how are you, right? So this is parameter prop passing the data through props to another component from another component. Okay, so you can consider the state as your consciousness because you take the decisions. So you have your own common sense. So that is state, something that you only know or you know yourself. And props are something like, how should I say, advices given by others. So you take the advice, and based on the advice, you are not going to act directly. You might also try hello.trim.length is greater than 0, then show the hello, else no input given. So something like this. I wrote this. This is a ternary operator, a conditional. Okay. If then else statement, something like that. So here you would see it is hello, how are you? And if I completely omit this one, oh, I'm so sorry. Again, it's my fault. If I completely omit this one, you could see that it says no input given. Or if I put hello equal to some basic thing, I would say double quotes here. We can only pass the props from parent component to child component. Yes. Wait, what? Okay. I guess, Rajendra, it is not about Zoom. I believe Codementor has this particular account has got it disabled. That is the main reason. I'm sorry about that. I will let the Codementor team to enable the copy paste. Okay, if that is the case, I guess no one can copy and paste it. Okay, that is bad, seriously bad. Okay, what I would do is I will try to combine all these chat messages, whatever I have saved to you or something like that, shared with you. I will try to combine everything and then send it over to everyone. Okay, so if that is possible, cool. So coming back to this, we are able to use this one. Yes, James, clicking on the thing will open it, but it is difficult for some people, right? Okay, fine. So this is the difference between a class component. Sorry, this is the way you can pass the data from your parent component to child. At the same time, you can also pass some dynamic data. For example, if I use this .state.name, you can see that the function input is hello. And now comes the good part. How many of you have seen this Angular's dual bonding? What do you call this? Two-way binding. So something like that, we can do it here. Yeah, Control A, Control V doesn't make it work here. Don't worry, Rajendra. Somehow I'll try to let them know and then give this as a feedback. This is my first time talking in Codementor, so I'll try to communicate it soon.
Hi, Praveen. I have a question.
Hi. Yes.
Hello, hi. So you're passing the props from the parent. Shouldn't
Correct.
it be the other way around? Like
props are passed from the parent to the child when the child is being called. So in this case, again, I can't even do an annotation here, which is frustrating. So yes, it is only parent to child. It is not from child to parent. But you can make something like child to parent, which I wanted to cover. I guess I won't be able to because of the time crunch. But yes, React has got this one-way data binding. For that only, there is a new way of easy way of making two-way data binding. So that is what I'm going to do now. So let's say this is an input element. So an input element that has got something. Now in React, if you do a value and then type in hello or something like that, now whatever I type, it doesn't work because it became a read-only thing. So the value has to be dynamic as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the value to be dynamic thing. And I need to also put an on-change event here. So because of the time crunch, I'm going to use a code that should not be used this way. So please come back to me and then we will try to make it better. Okay, now, whenever you want to change the state, you have to mutate the state. Direct state mutation should not be done, because if you do using this .set state and then type in name and then e.target.value, which is going to be the value of this is the best way to mutate, because every time you change here, it is going to re-render the whole thing. If you just do this .state.name equal to something, it will not re-render and it will basically fail the application. So now this React becomes two-way data binding. So if I put hello or how are you, you can see that both the things are working perfectly fine. And in case if you want to pass the data from child component to the parent component, you can use a concept called as lifting the state up from the concept. Yeah, so thanks, Tanjil. So what we will generally do is this particular on-change function is there, right? I'm going to put as handle change. Now, if I do the handle change here, and I have to also use this handle change, and all these shortcuts will be given by VS Code. So you don't need to worry about that. And now this particular element can be also in another component. Let's say we will have input component. By the way, anyone who is attending React interviews, and if you are unfortunate enough to get an interview from my side, I'm going to ask this question. So you are fortunate enough that you are getting the answer here. So const input, I'm going to get some props. Let's think about it later. And it is going to be the input tag. Oh, it is going to be the paste of it. So now all I need to do is I need a name and I need this handle change. So these two guys, I'm going to cut and put it over here and use a comma here. Now I'm going to do export default input. So if I do this, it's going to make it like this. Now I'm going to put input. So this is going to auto import for me. The first thing is the name. The name is going to be this dot state dot name, and then on change. Great, handle change is going to be handle. Oops. This dot handle change. So if we are doing this, you have got two inputs here. Okay, by the way, this is my question most of the times. So there is an input here, there is a display here. So how would you change the display? This is another component, this is one component. If you do any changes here, how would you change it? This is the answer. So you will be lifting up the state, and then you are going to give the value to one component, and you would be giving the output to another component. I'm going to quickly answer all the questions, and then we are going to complete this stream right now. So I'm sorry about the timing, so I have to close it very quick, and we will do this here. I'm going to go through all the chat messages right away. React lifecycle phase is correct. Yes, mounting, updating, and unmounting. That's correct. When Douglas says that when I was learning React, we used to go to JavaScript world, wrap your React code in curly braces. That is JavaScript world. Exactly. Yes. Props are an object in React. Yes, that's correct. Okay, John, using uppercase for starting state and props, it's just my personal preference. It's nothing in that area.
Correct.
Hey, hi. Who's this? Sorry. Oh, yeah. Okay.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Sure, John. Okay. Rajendra, yes, I will let them know soon. Okay, so for Mario, yes, that is NG model for the Angular side of things. You're right. Parent to child relationship, React as one-way data binding, right? This has been great. Thank you so much, Komal. What kind of a project can I do in okay, don't start with to-do lists, which is actually very easy to do, and a lot of people have already did that. Most probably you would be able to do a lot more. Maybe try to start with something like a resume building application or an ID card generator application where you have a lot of form elements, and on the right side you would be showing it. By the way, I have got my YouTube channel which has got a lot of mini React.js projects started from scratch, which I can share it with you. And that might actually help a lot of people. So that is something which I would say. And coming to the other links, I hope I have given all the links that I have to give. With respect to the other links, just give me 1 second. Okay, cool. For those people who are in LinkedIn and who have got a YouTube, like, so that's all my details here. My LinkedIn address has been given, and here is my personal website and my YouTube channel as well. Feel free to add it. Amelia, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna request Codementor and try to upload this on my YouTube channel. So feel free to go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You will get notified when I update this. So definitely there is this going to be coming in the YouTube channel, in my YouTube channel. So look forward for it. Mario, yes, I'm going to ask Codementor team to give me another chance. So I would be going through the lifecycle hooks. Maybe we can also do some kind of a React series as well. James, I have shared my YouTube channel link. Yes, Komal, I have shared it as well. Okay, so state is something like a temporary place or like a variable which works with the different rendering logic, Robinson, and then we can use the state variables to pass as props to another component. Yes. Oh my God, what about deployment? I'm so sorry. So when you're using CodeSandbox, the CodeSandbox automatically deploys you on the application. So you can use the .csv.app to get the deployed version. So that is one simple, quick way of deployment. And another way of deployment is using GitHub pages. Maybe we can do it in the next type. Okay, can you show us how to export the React code to use it in the website? So that's the same answer. So there is this csb.app website. So for example, the one that we used just now has got this code, right? Looks like I lost the code again. I'm so sorry about that. So I'll share all these the source code, and let me try to find it. Okay, I'll try to share all these things as a follow-up email. I'll speak to Stella and from Codementor, and then try to send a small document explaining all these things along with all the resources that I have shared. Any negative comments from people? This is the first time I'm taking this session, so I'm so sorry in case if there is some kind of mishap happened. How was the whole thing? Lota?
Yeah, this is actually my first time.
You did it great.
Loved it.
Thank you. Okay, it is fast but good. Okay, thank you. Better to focus
Okay,
on.
I have a question.
Yes, John.
Okay,
Sorry, yes,
I have a
Robinson.
question. Mine is how long should I take to fully understand about React if because I'm a beginner on it?
So if you're a beginner, you start with the React basics, the basics of JSX. See, basically, I saw a couple of YouTube videos which are really, really good. Robinson, maybe you can, and other people, whoever wants to ask the same, have the same question. I'm totally new to React. So just message me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to send over a couple of YouTube videos which are really, really great for beginners. Maximum, you just need to spend around less than 10 hours so that you can get better on the basics of React, and then keep on practicing. Lota, you raised your hand. Go ahead, unmute yourself and talk.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, good day. You are doing a very good job. Yes,
Thank you.
and
Thank you so much.
I like your classes. Yeah. So I want to ask a question. I know HTML and CSS, but I'm still working on my JavaScript. So I have like a year and a half year of experience. So I want to know, are there entry level opportunities where one can get like practical experience? Like maybe UK or Europe? Are they like entry level opportunities? Because most of the opportunities are people with 5 years experience, 4 years experience, and all that. Are they opportunities that one can, get a foot in the door and, be working and be learning at the same time? Thank you.
There are loads and loads of opportunities that are available for web developers, and basically, if people are looking at opportunities, they will be going for the higher paying ones. So Lota, you might be better off in like checking all the web developer roles. There are like so many roles that are there for entry level, and the good part is if you are joining companies, big companies like how I joined Accenture and Deloitte, etc., they will give you some training as well, which is actually good. So yes, there are so many roles available, and people will also train. I hope that was answering your question. And also for those people who are sending chat messages, I'm going to answer everyone by email or by whatever means is possible. Or what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a YouTube video with all the chat messages being answered, if that helps. Okay, Tanjil, go ahead. Ask me your question. Okay, any other questions? Yeah, yes, Tanjil, please ask your question. We are not able to hear you. Okay, Rajendra.
Yeah, hi, thank you, Praveen. That was a wonderful presentation. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I do have a React app, and my problem is I'm using on Netlify. Have you heard about Netlify?
Netlify, yes. Netlify is one type of GitHub pages. Netlify, Surge.
Yeah. So I'm using it, Netlify, to host it, and the performance is very slow. So it's difficult for me to know, is the performance slow because there is not enough processing available, and Netlify is saying that you need to scale up or buy the next.
Have you tried GitHub pages? I have I have received this complaint with a lot of people. Netlify seems to be very slow, and sometimes for the free users, it is switching off the VM. So
Yes.
whenever someone opens the page,
Okay.
the first moment it is going to take a long time, and then
Yes.
later it opens up. Yes, this is a problem with Netlify.
Okay.
It's not a problem. It's actually, that is how Netlify works. But this is not the case with GitHub pages. Would you like to
Yes.
switch to GitHub pages then?
Yes, yes, I would like to. Let's talk about. I will send you a Codementor scheduling. You can send me your Codementor scheduling.
It is
Let's
Praveen
talk
Singh.
about how we can do it.
Sure.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
So Praveen Singh is my Codementor thing. Yes, Toril, I'm a mentor in Codementor, but I have not done many of the mentoring things. This is my first talk event, so I thought like I will start with that. Yes, Praveen Singh is my Codementor ID, so you can go ahead and connect with me. Yes, Pankaj, sorry, you have raised your hand.
Yeah. So can you hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you. Come on, tell me.
Yeah. My question is, do React have any easy way to implement server-side rendering? Because basically, when we with React, there is an SEO problem. Most of the time, we see that Google Analytics doesn't recognize the next routes, basically, right? So,
like you said, do you have worked with Next.js?
Yes, I have worked with Next.js. That seems to solve the problem. But in React, let's suppose we have a project in React that is running for like 5 years. So now we can't change that completely to Next.js, right? In that way, what will
I have a solution for it. It is called React HTML export, I guess. So what it does is it converts the existing React application completely into a static file thing. So Pankaj, would you like to put a small message on LinkedIn? Send me a quick message, ask the same question. I'll try to find out what plugin that I used, what npm package that I used to export the whole thing into a static site, and then I'll tell you. So there are some issues with the state and props as well. So those issues will be solved using this particular package. So it is going to convert everything into static HTML pages along with the dynamicity of the React.
Can you please repeat that package name?
No, I have got zero clue about the package name. I may not be wrong. Send me a message on LinkedIn. I will try to find the package name and then I'll tell you.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Sure. Flux is one type of state management. And sorry, I guess, yeah, Flux and Redux are libraries. They are kind of like competing libraries. Flux is similar to Redux. So, okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through all the comments for sure today, and then I'm going to reply them. Every single comment I'm going to reply, and I'm going to make a video of it, and I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel. So please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and 99.9% your question will be answered. In case if it is not answered, please feel free to ask me in the comments as well. And thank you so much. Please put your comments, please put your questions here so that I will make sure I'll answer them now or later as well. So keep putting the questions, and also please keep what is your feedback on my what are the things that I should improve in my presentation. Apart from these things, stay home, stay safe, stay away from COVID, and have a healthy life.